If you followed all of the instructions in the last step, then you should have 3 things ready, and I'm going to walk through each of these right now. The first thing is a text editor. I gave you the instructions to download Sublime Text 3, and if you don't have that yet, just go to their website, download it. It's available for free. I've got it in my applications folder. I'm going to drag that into my dock just to make sure it's easily available. And it's basically a text editor where you can type text in and stuff like that, right? And that's where we're going to put our code, but I don't need this for right now. So that's the text editor. If you have a preferred text editor of choice, if you use something else, that's fine. It's not required that you use Sublime Text. It's just the one that I recommend. And for those of you who are wondering, no, you don't have to pay for it. You can use it for free and continue using it for free, although you may get this pop-up that happens every once in a while asking you to register. It's not required. The second thing that you need is called the command line. So if you follow the instructions, whether you're on a Windows, a Linux machine, or a Mac, you should have your command line set up. Now on a Mac, the command line is in Applications under Utilities, and it's called the terminal. And I can drag this into here, and the terminal looks kind of like this. On Windows, you should have downloaded Git Bash. If you didn't download that, go ahead and do that and follow the instructions below. On a Linux, it should be fairly clear to you where you're supposed to type this stuff, where the stuff goes, because that's how Linux machines tend to work. And so that's 2. The first was text editor. Second was the command line. The third thing is making sure you installed Ruby and Rails correctly. How are you going to know that you did this? Well, we're going to use the command line. I might call this the terminal or command line interchangeably, but and we're going to go through this in a second, but go to your command line, open it up, whether it's terminal if you're on a Mac or Git Bash if you're on a Windows machine, and type in the following exactly how I have it. You're going to type in, well, first we'll check for Ruby. So you can do Ruby space -v, and that stands for Ruby version, basically. And that should tell you what version of Ruby you have. Now I have Ruby version 2.3.0 P0, which means patch 0. It doesn't matter if yours is different. As long as it's higher than Ruby 2.2, you should be fine. If it's higher than mine, that's totally acceptable anyway. There's very subtle differences between the two. But what you don't want is less than 2 or anything older than that, obviously. And the second thing you're going to need to check right here is what version of Rails do you have? So you type in Rails space -v. Now, don't forget the space. If you do it like that, it's not going to work. If you put too many, it's not going to work. Just exactly how I have it written, and then hit enter. And in my case, I have Rails 5.0.0.1. And we're going to be using Rails 5 in this class. So if you have an older version of Rails, go back a step and make sure you follow the instructions or update it. If you don't have it installed, you have to get Rails installed. We're going to use Rails 5 moving forward. And as the course progresses, I'll tell you a little bit about some of the differences. But honestly, there's not that big of a difference between Rails 4 and Rails 5. Almost everything that I explained to you should work in either one of them. So if you really can't get 5 set up, that's okay. Just follow along with it anyway. But as long as you have Ruby 2.3, Rails 5, and the other 2 things, the text editor and the command line, set up on your computer, you should be good to go.